So before we begin, and you will see a lot of blockchain evolution slides in this presentation as well, we're going to touch both what we're seeing in blockchain, what we're doing in blockchain, and where Israel fits in. I have to say that it is for me, blockchain, before I do that, you had like 3-4 lectures. What is blockchain? Who said Bitcoin?
No, it's a new form of database.
It's a new form of database. Who else? Secure. Okay, what else? D? Okay. Okay. What else? Decentralized information system. Anyone use the word ledger already? You have to say decentralized and then ledger usually. So for me, blockchain is a unicorn. It's a startup. And like any startup, we are kind of the beta users of it, and we have some very big beta users in it. For us, blockchain, it is the second phase of the digital revolution. Phase 1, mobile, right? We've seen it for we just celebrated, I think, 10 years for the iPhone. And the second phase is blockchain, or digital distributed ledger, which basically means the way that you control, manage, and transfer assets in the digital era. This is how we're considering blockchain. So again, my name is Amit. I'm leading the Innovation Tech Terminal at Deloitte Israel. The Innovation Tech Terminal is our startup hub working with the Israeli ecosystem, with the startups here, and with multinationals all around the world, connecting them and building bridges between the Israeli ecosystem and of course, the multinationals. We're going to touch today 4 points. One is the blockchain evolution. The second one, of course, is the industry overview as we see it. Why Israel? It's a big question. And then what we do about it. So when we look at blockchain, and we like to have blockchain 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, we're working with managements, they need to see something 0.0. It is basically the era where we are coming in after I would say the first hype that was with the Bitcoin. We all think, and they did a very good work in connecting blockchain into Bitcoin, but it is just one manifestation. It's not even that interesting. There is a big discussion, by the way, if Bitcoin is a coin or an asset. The Israeli tax authority is going to release in 2 weeks document saying that it is an asset, which means that for every transaction you need to pay 17% VAT, MAM, 17, and that you need to report it by yourself, voluntarily, and that you need to, again, there's different aspects when it comes to assets versus coins. Now, for me, I have to say, when you tell me you have something that you hold it until the value goes higher, for me it's an asset, not a coin. Later on, you'll hear from Kolu what they're doing in Florentine in other areas. Amazing project, amazing potential. This is their first project we see when you actually take it to the day-to-day life. And blockchain began as kind of a cult. Blockchain 1.0 was F the system. We don't need a middleman. We don't need the banks. We don't need governments. We don't need anyone. We are people to people. And that worked for a while. It's good, again. And then, around 2013, 2014, us of the world came in, the bad guys, and said, wow, you have a very interesting concept here. We can actually do good business with. Why? Because blockchain 1.0 was all about, again, taking what we're doing and destroying it altogether, rebuilding the system. For us, blockchain 2.0 is doing whatever we're doing now, but faster, better, smarter, and cheaper. Now, if you go to, don't remember the name, Hipod, Karnaf, the cafeteria here, and you swipe your credit card, it goes like 15 different players until you see it on your bank account. If I can take 15 players, reduce them to 4, this is over $1 billion economy. And this is what's interesting now. And for us, by the way, blockchain is the first technology, and again, it's not an application, it may be a platform, but for us, it's more like the laws of physics of the digital era. It is basically a very interesting way to look differently at the world. And through that, this is what we do. And we're now, and I'm not sure how much you're going over the concept of exponential technologies and the era of abundance, amazing books, you should read them, everything coming out of the Singularity University. Are you familiar with Moore's Law? Okay, so basically Moore's Law saying that every 18 to 24 months, the chipset is getting half price, double quality. And we've seen it from the 60s, still going on. By the way, we're reaching the top with machine power currently, and then quantum mechanics and quantum computing coming in. Then someone once told me that the best way to explain quantum computing is just having a machine that is doing calculation in 8 different universes. He said you need like 3 beers just to start to understand it. But we are seeing that from 2009 to 2016, 7 years, even less than that, it took for the first paper around Bitcoin and blockchain into a consortium of the 30 top financial institutes worldwide to think together about it. This is exponential. This is really interesting. It took the internet 20-something years. It took e-commerce 10-something years. We're seeing into 5. Good thing. The bad thing about it is that when you go into a restaurant and you see an open kitchen, sometimes you like what you see, sometimes you don't. When you have organizations, big organizations that are working for decades, are familiar in how to do IT and how to do business, and then they're sitting there in the kitchen and seeing the good stuff and the bad stuff. There's hard fork, there's a cyber attack, all those sort of things, it creates a fear factor. But what we're seeing, and this is the movement between blockchain 2.0 and 3.0, where we'll see at the end of the decade and into mass production in about a decade from now, is that they are willing. They are willing to participate. They understand the value. If we're hearing, and we are hearing top executive at Intel and Microsoft and IBM and all the top banks thinking, working around what to do with blockchain, this is something that is amazing. Now, in 10 years, we won't speak about blockchain. We won't care. Why? Because now, when my mother is going into Google on their Samsung phone and searching for something, she doesn't care about the 7 layers of the internet. She doesn't know what are the 7 layers of the internet. So think about that we will do transactions. We will have asset management. We will have on-demand insurance. We won't care that it's on blockchain. We will just enjoy the applications. Everything that is related to P2P, everything that is related to the new social sphere will be based on blockchain, but we won't care. It will already be there. Now it's just giving that leverage. And we're seeing 2 paths right now. One coming from the public with permission blockchain. I have to say I don't really see it for a few more years. What we're seeing right now is path to the private permission blockchain. When I'm speaking about corporates. The public side, you will hear later. the private side, which is really, really interesting. And there was a question about mining within banks, and does it make sense? A, it doesn't have to be Bitcoin. There are different applications. B, you know how much money they spend on making sure that the transaction actually happened? And even if you can cut 30%, with blockchain you will cut 95%. But if you're cutting 30% out of their costs, that's crazy. That's real business. And right now, especially with the new president-elect, we are seeing what we call zero growth economy. There is zero growth. Think about it. I'm a CEO. I need to show profit. I need to show that I did better from last year. I need to show that I did better from the one that used to be in my role before. So what do? If I can't grow up there, I'm cutting costs down here, right? So in a zero growth economy, what we're seeing is everything about reduction of costs. This is a platform to reduce costs. We can speak all about the wonderful word that we don't need politics and we don't need countries and we can use that and no corruption. At the end of the day, if a CEO of a major bank will say, I can cut 15% using blockchain, he will use blockchain. And this is where we're going. There are a lot of different applications into blockchain from first year into third year for all different industries. You heard some of them through Gideon's lecture, I guess, or I guess some of them were mentioned before. It started from financial services. Why? Because it's really easy to understand. It's really easy to understand how do I take money and transfer it. How do I take loyalty points and transfer them? But think about a world where you can know, and Gideon mentioned it, now 30% we all fly. 30% of the spare parts that we're flying on are fake. No one knows that because you can't track it. But if you have one single data point that you can track all over, that is disruptive. That is transformational. And we're seeing it all over. We will see it in the diamond industry, and I'll touch that later. We'll see it in the art industry, and again, I'll touch that later. When we look at the industry overview, so 2016 was a major year. Every day, I go to bed thinking about why didn't I buy at 400 and sell at 1,000. That was 2016. Crazy. Went down a bit. But we project it will be steady. But what we see as well is the consortiums. In 2015, in 2016, some of them will break down in 2017. They're already starting in 2016 because I have the dirty version of that example and the not dirty. I will use the dirty one. Blockchain is like, if you heard that joke, some must have used it. Blockchain is like group sex. Everybody are talking about it. No one is doing that. So think about the consortiums like a 7th grade dance party. You have the boys here. You have the girls there. Everyone wanting to dance, but you need someone to start. Like you want to push someone to do that. So all those consortiums, especially R3, they said, okay, so I want to be there because it's exponential. And I know that I need to move fast, but I really don't want to dance, so I want to watch someone else dancing. I'm not going to move now into the sex metaphor. But I want to be part of that. And now, the guys that are actually dancing are saying, why do we need all those watchers and peepers? We can just do it on our own. And this is actually what we're seeing right now. And through 2016, we saw some very amazing advancements. The industry is going full throttle forward. We're seeing a lot of investments. We're seeing the NASDAQ, the LSC, other parts, and other stock exchanges moving forward, trying to create a purpose for themselves in the new era. This is the hardest question for governments is, will I be relevant? It's a very important question. And just think about the new kind of movement in California. They want to be apart from the US. What does it mean? How much of the economy is there? Of course, the money players, the transaction player like Visa and MasterCard and PayPal, and we're seeing some governments trying to look at it as well. And again, it started from financial services because it's there, it's vivid, it is, I would say, tangible, and there are almost 30 different applications. And you need to understand, both for the insurance industry and for the banking industry, we are running on systems, less in banking, more in insurance, that haven't been upgraded in 40 years. 40 years. How much innovation you can do in a system that was last updated in the 1960s, 70s. And this is why the opportunity for disruption is so big. But again, not just financial services, much, much more. The public sector. And you, by the way, a very interesting operation going on right now in South Africa and the entire continent of Africa. And I will touch Africa again in a second. 22 social security recipients are now on blockchain. There's a very interesting example with Kolu in Barbados, right? In Barbados. And Mark will touch that later. Private records, medical records. Think about the fact that you're going into an hospital and no one knows who you are. Do you know that? We are in Israel, are not the ordinary, we are the extraordinary. We're the best country in the world for medical trials just for that. We have 80% of the population in 2 HMOs, right? Clalit, Maccabi. And the hospitals speak to each other. There is nothing like this worldwide. Every doctor that you go to in the US needs to relearn everything about you, which is crazy. Security, supply chain, in aerial and maritime. There's a very interesting company in Israel called Wave, are doing supply chain for maritime shipment on blockchain. You know, right now, even in 2017, you need to have a physical paper in order to take a container out of a shipment yard. Think about it. You're traveling for months, and someone needs to print it, send it, or fly with it to take it out. If you lose it, you have no container. A lot of money is being spent over there. When we look about the Israeli blockchain ecosystem, and we did a report almost a year ago, kind of shining light on Israel, we think Israel has the potential, yet to fulfill it, but has the potential to be a world leader in blockchain for 3 reasons. 1, cryptographic capabilities, everything coming out of the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, especially 8200, 81, very strong crypto capabilities. In blockchain, it's all about cryptography. That's 1. The second, fintech. We are a fintech hub. We're not the biggest one, might not even be the best one, but we are good enough. We're seeing a lot of fintech coming in, fintech moving into insurtech and other areas and asset management. And the third one, we are sitting in the best place globally for blockchain. Why? There is Europe and the US to our west. We have Asia and China to our east. That's okay. We have Africa. We really believe that Africa is going to be the #1 continent for blockchain applications. Why? Because think about a country, we're now saying, we said, maybe you heard it, that Africa is mobile first. They don't have any infrastructure, so they just, instead of building a bank, they're just putting an app. So from banking or mobile first, they move to mobile everything. So you need someone where you can manage assets, which is what mobile is all about, and you have corrupted governments, which is the second thing that that blockchain in currency can be relevant for. And this is why we think, and there's kind of a claw move between Israel and South Africa. We work a lot with South Africa. South Africa, they're basically the kings of Africa. And they're pushing there's a lot of innovation going on right now. Cape Town is buzzing, Johannesburg as well. And we're seeing a lot of great innovations coming and pushing into the continent. And they love Israel, and we love them. Although it's 9 hours away, it is the same time, same clock, which is really important when you do business. And by the way, on that, we're the best time zone ever. Think about that. We're Deloitte having, when it's 6 a.m. in Los Angeles, almost midnight in Sydney, and I'm eating lunch. So there's a lot of I know it's kind of silly or funny, but there's a lot of day-to-day aspects what makes Israel so interesting. And again, the connection to Africa. This is how we see Israel. It was updated this month. We are dividing the blockchain world into 8 categories, which are kind of common. And these are the relevant companies that we're seeing thriving in each and every part. And you can see both of the companies that present today are here. And for us, by the way, this is still, if you do blockchain and Israel search on Google, that's the report that you see. That's the first hit, which is excellent for us because it puts a lot of interesting focus on Israel. A few months ago, I went to Silicon Valley. I met with one VC. Soon I'm going to meet with another VC. They're trying to understand Israel. They're trying to do investment in Israel. You saw some of them, and will be a lot more coming soon. So what we do? We basically do 2 things. A, we use blockchain for our own needs. Is anyone here an accountant? Apologize. Yeah, so unfortunately I'm as well. I don't know how it happened. I just woke up someday. There is the notion in auditing that you need all the suppliers and all the clients, and you need to match them. And then you have armies of interns going over papers after papers, marking with that yellow marker. Think about a ledger, an open book globally that has all the clients and all the suppliers and a match between them. That's one. And there's a lot of applications. So one of the things that we do with blockchain, we use it for our own needs, for our own purposes. Deloitte right now, we are considering a service provider or a service entity, but we're moving more and more into product, and we can offer product that can make, again, everything faster, smarter, better, and cheaper. But also, we work with our clients for them to understand. So we have 2 blockchain labs, one in New York, one in Dublin. We are now in the process of building an Israeli one, which will be much more focused about open innovation and working with the ecosystem and bringing the multinationals here. And the concept is to take real-life use cases that have pain points now and try and solve them through distributed ledger, which can be blockchain, cannot be blockchain, it depends, but that's basically the process. We have a platform that was built out of Canada called Rubix. We actually had a spin-off from Deloitte into a startup working right now in the US and Canada because we didn't want to restrain it, so we put it aside and fund it. And Rubix is a platform where we are inviting startups to work with, and then our clients, and then create an interaction. Again, you want to create kind of a safe zone or a sandbox for clients to start to interact. And we have a lot of use cases. So I want to touch one, which is basically the same both for art and diamonds. We have right now in the world 2 problems with the art world. One, making sure that the art is real, right? No one knows who actually painted it. You know that story that they think that the Mona Lisa is not actually the Mona Lisa? Because it was stolen and then found after a few years, no one knows. That's one. The second, how can I make sure that the money is real? Now in the era of AML, anti-money laundering rules, and anti-terror rules, I need to make sure, the banks need to make sure that each transaction is real. And you know that saying that money doesn't have color and doesn't have a smell? In blockchain, it does. I can actually paint a certain amount of money that was cleared and then know for sure that it will be cleared throughout the way. Think about a bank that is getting a deposit of $1 million. He will go through the AML process. The day after, I'm extracting $1 in and putting $1 out and $1 back in. What does it mean? Did they need to do the process again? So with the art world, it's a real issue. All the big auction houses don't know how to handle it. They spend a lot of money. The banks spend a lot of money. 60% of the deals are falling in that payment part because of the money doesn't transfer. You can't make sure that it is clean or white money. So this is something that you can do fully with blockchain. We actually take human DNA which is very easy to take, put it into painting. We're now coding it as a single entity on the blockchain, and now we can track the painting. Because DNA is DNA, blockchain is blockchain. Putting together, I created a token that I can take with me everywhere. So that's one application. The second one we did in Netherlands. So a lot of products, when you buy a product, do you use the warranty? Do you fill it out correctly? Many times, no, right? Many times you learn, like they do in Israel, when you go back home, there's a paper that the merchant, the seller at the store needed to fill out. No one goes back to fill it out. But think about, and we actually did it with Facebook in the Netherlands, where you're buying a Canon camcorder or camera, and you take the warranty, you just using Facebook chat, take a picture, this is my camera, this is my identity, and that's it. It's on blockchain. So in other use cases. So just to finish up, for us, it is the first real technology that is being explored by mainstream business very soon. It has the potential to disrupt first finance, but everything else. It is a great platform for business that try to expand without physical borders. I know that you're going to build startups here. Think about when you need to go without the physical aspect, blockchain is the way. The rapid development includes, or must include, an open innovation approach. The biggest race right now is standardization. What is going to be the blockchain that everyone are using? Or the two main blockchain, like we saw with cellular 15 years ago, CDMA, GSM, it will have the same battle. There will be turbulences, but you have to be there because not taking part is much too dangerous.